Call this meeting to order, please. Stand, pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Fissionary, will call roll, please.
Mr. Christensen.
Here.
Mrs. Feist.
Here.
Mrs. Headley.
Here.
Mrs. Hoppy.
Here.
Mrs. Janicek.
Here.
Mr. McGregor.
Here.
Mr. Scalzo.
Here.
Mrs. Turner.
Here.
Mr. Modrak.
Yes, I'm here.
9 present.
Thank you, sir. At this time, my computer just went dead. I believe we have a presentation from SiteLogic on our IMS renovation project.
Good evening. Okay, so phase 3, we had turned over the locker room, health rooms down in the lower level in the month of May, and the students moved down there, I believe, for their temporary band rooms, and then we took over the music suite, and we were already into the auditorium. So we have been doing the demolition in the music area. That is complete, except for one little area where we have found there were 2 layers of flooring, and underneath there was some asbestos flooring that we were unaware of. So we are in the process of waiting the 10-day notice with the county in order to abate that. So as soon as that is abated, we'll finish up the miscellaneous demo in that area. But the metal stud framing has already started. The MEP rough-ins in the ceiling have already started. And everywhere but this one particular room, the new restrooms, that rough-in has also started in there as well. And then in the gymnasium, since students just got out, we are just starting in there. We started demoing the bleachers in there, and then we are waiting for the plywood tomorrow to come, for which we need to cover the entire wood floor with 2 layers of plywood so that there is no damage when the lifts and everything are on it. So that's what we're planning on doing right now. Just some pictures of the outside. The landscaping was done in and around the building and in the back on the new sidewalk going up behind the school. Just some pictures of the demolition in the music suite area. You can see the old ductwork came down. The walls are coming down. It was pretty much gutted except for a couple of walls in there. Again, this is the stud framing that has started. You can see the wood blocking in there. The picture on the right is the rough-ins of some of the restrooms that are going in there. So everyone is doing what we need to do, despite the little area that we need to still demo. And as soon as the rough-ins are done in the walls, we'll go ahead and get the inspector in there to inspect it, and then we'll start putting up the drywall. In the auditorium, we continue with the lighting installation. The walls have been stained in the auditorium. The fire protection that is going in the back is about to get started, and they will start doing the theatrical lighting and upgrade of the sound systems in there as well. The seats are scheduled to arrive at the beginning of August, so those will be the last things that will go in. And you can see they're starting to, like I said, demo the bleachers of the gym. Once we cover the floor, and then the old gym equipment will come down, and the divider curtain, and the new gym equipment will go up. The ceiling's coming down, so it's getting painted, new lights and everything. So pretty much everything in there will get a facelift, except your floor, because that is fairly new. Moving on to the roofing project. So anything that could go wrong has gone wrong. So we had paused some of the tear off in May till the kids are out. So the kids are out now. So we are going to resume that activity. We did, however, continue putting the cap sheet on because that really did not produce much noise. But again, we've had our bumps with that project. So apologies for that. But we think we hopefully have it under control, and we will be done and out of your hair by August with the roofing, and the metal work is about to start over the classroom. So kind of be assembly line from here. I'm working with Anthony to get him all the documentation he needs for the district to gain their grant money. So I believe we are almost there. So that is a good thing. All the districts are kind of learning, feeling their way through this first round of grants and all the paperwork that is needed to obtain that money. Just a couple pictures of some of the classroom addition with the new PVC cap sheet on it, similar to what we did on the cafeteria roof. So, any questions?
Still on schedule?
Yeah, we will be out of your hair. I give you my word. If I have to come down here and do it myself. It's been a long time, but we will be done, and probably doing punch lists in the evening. Might be doing that, but we're actually during the summer doing the punch list in the other prior phases as well. So the only one we should have punch list wise should be the music suite and the auditorium, but the auditorium should be pretty minor. So
Good.
hoping to be wrapped up.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Piscineri, just a reminder, the Act 34 grant, the total value of that for us? Again,
Yeah,
was
it's $1.7 million.
1.7. Thank you.
And we're projected, right now, just to kind of give you an update, we've been going back and forth with the state, and Rochelle has been very good about the documentation. They're not familiar when they rolled out this grant about GISA projects, so that's why there has been a delay, because they're trying to figure out how to approve a GISA project through the grant system. So they figured it out. We're good to go. We have a few minor things to give them, so we're projected to probably get that money mid to late July.
And that's the funding that Natalie and Devlin help us get.
Correct, yep.
So our local representatives work on our behalf, so it's a great example. Thank you to both of them.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. And Dr. Walsh did a lot of the paperwork on that one, so he gets his kudos on that one as well.
You get a percentage? No? All right, thank you, everybody. Earlier tonight, we had an executive session to discuss some legal issues. Next, attend to adopt business items. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Second. Adopt business items moved by Mr. Scalzo, second by Mrs. Walsh-Turner. Mr. Piscineri?
Voting is open. Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you, sir. Also, we had a chance to review many minutes from our curriculum committee meeting on 5/13, committee meeting 5/13, and our regular board meeting from 5/27. A motion to move those forward to be accepted.
So moved.
Second.
All right, meetings for those three dates moved by Mrs. Walsh-Turner, second by Mr. Scalzo. Thank you, Mr. Piscineri.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. We don't have a representative from student government tonight. I don't see, none online.
He is enjoying summer vacation, I presume.
There we go. I finally got his name tag. PTO, PTA? No? All right. That leaves our solicitor.
All
You're
right,
up.
just a limited note, it's marked appropriately in board docs, but the board in executive session did receive its annual required update on safety and security for the 24-25 school year. That report will be submitted to PDE, and we'll mark the minutes accordingly. And that executive session, just for specificity, was for personnel, pending litigation, and matter subject to attorney-client privilege. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you. Committee reports. Mrs. Hoppy.
So I have a report from Steele Center. This is kind of projected numbers for next year for Bethel Park. The total students enrolled for next year is 100. So 100 of our kids will be learning trades and technical skills. As of May 6th, 5 were on a wait list. So that wait list, total number of students out of the 11 school districts on the wait list is 150. So 150 kids and 11 school districts are waiting to get into Steel Center to learn trades and all the good offerings there. So I'm excited about that. I love it that kids are interested in wanting to work with their hands and learn skills that AI can't do. Two biggest programs at Steel Center, meaning the most enrolled: automotive technology and cosmetology. So just some fun facts there. And the renovation there is coming along beautifully. That should be wrapped up by, I believe, October or November of this year. And lots of good things happening there. So very proud to be the Bethel Park representative and support our kids and our families that are involved in trades.
I think you should trademark that saying, do what AI can't do.
Yes.
I mean, that's great. I mean,
I
it's just reading Amazon's going to lay off a whole bunch of people
think
because of AI. I mean, yeah, you
Gentleman
should
just said
trademark that.
The AI guru founder made that statement,
Yeah.
publicized it yesterday. He said, yeah, just pretty much do what they can't do, be a plumber.
Yeah. Yep, that's all.
Thank you. Anybody else?
As for PSBA, the PA School Boards Association, they're asking members this month to continue to advocate for public education. There's information you should be getting in your weekly and sometimes daily emails. Let me know if you have trouble locating that. It is very important in this moment that we are advocating not only with our state representatives, whom Barry referenced earlier, but also our federal and national level representatives, so that public education can receive the funding that we need to educate all of the community's children. They also have a campaign right now about unfunded mandates in the Commonwealth, and that's a special section on their website. So again, you should have a link to it, but if you have trouble finding that, let me know. Or if you have questions about mandates in general, happy to help you, but something they would also like us to advocate for. Should a mandate be necessary, it would make sense to properly fund districts to be able to enact those things. So that's
Good.
it. Thank you.
Thank you. I just, Dr. Mincher, Dr. Shu, I forget, Pathfinder had the graduation recently. How many students from Bethel?
Currently,
Oh,
or
no,
how many that
Did we
graduated?
have for graduation?
Just one.
Just one. So that's my Pathfinder report. We had one graduate student. I got to earn my keys down there. With nothing else, Doc, it's all yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We'll start tonight with just a shout out, congratulations to the graduates of the class of 2025. It was a great night, and very impressed. What a small but powerful group. A lot of great accomplishments among those graduates who are heading on to bigger and better places as they've been well prepared. Have one retiree on tonight's agenda that will be approved. James Blevins will be retiring. He was hired as a full-time computer para at Ben Franklin in February of 21. He then moved to the high school as a computer para in April of 2021. And in December of 24, his title changed to Technician Level 2, and that's the position from which he will retire here, actually did retire last Thursday. So I wish him well on his retirement. And for our strategic plan update, I'm going to have our student support services and special ed folks over there on the other side of the room lead us through an update or report on the state of that union.
Thank you very much, Dr. Walsh. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us this evening. We're going to dive into a few concepts. We're going to primarily stick to Chapter 14 concepts this evening, but the Student Support Services Department deals with many aspects of the educational program, but we're going to stick mainly to that this evening. Dr. Walsh has behind us here, and he put this beautiful backdrop here with BEST, better every single time. And for us, every day is that pursuit. Our students require a lot of expertise from our teachers, require a lot of support from people like paraprofessionals, and their needs are all different. And so it does require us to put our best foot forward every single time. As we move on with this presentation this evening, we're going to talk a little bit about what the law requires of us, not only what it requires of us, but what we believe in, and also some of the research backing some of the things that we do. So when we talk about the law, we have federal regulations and we have state regulations. And what the regulations require of us is that we have a full continuum of support for students. And what does that mean? That means that we need to be able to provide support services that can be implemented in a myriad of environments that could include the regular classroom, itinerant support such as a study skills class or resource that supports the regular classroom, pull-out instruction, and sometimes that can also include alternative school placements. And Bethel Park has a myriad of those supports available to students K through 12, and that's what the law requires of us, is that we have a continuum of support that includes all of those things that are backed by what is commonly referred to as SDI, specially designed instruction, that helps support students in the classroom setting, no matter what level of support they're at. Dr. Hsu is going to spend some time talking about one of the hallmark and pillar aspects of special education, which is the least restrictive environment.
So what the law says about our least restrictive environment is that we must consider this first. And that's defined by having individualized instruction with their non-disabled peers to the maximum extent possible. This is specific to each and in every student. What the least restrictive environment, we always start looking at being in the regular education setting with their non-disabled peers, but the least restrictive environment is determined based on each individual student needs. But we always start when looking at that full spectrum of supports that Dr. Minch was talking about at the least restrictive with their typical peers. David, do you want me to click it or do you want to?
Gotcha.
Okay. So the next is a graphic to show our commitment to inclusion in looking at that least restrictive environment. So the graphic you're seeing are the number of our students identified with special education services from 2020 to 2024. And each of this information is collected on a single snapshot, which is our December 1 count. For all across the state in Pennsylvania. And this is publicly available for every district in the Commonwealth, including our own. So as you see, our identification numbers have increased throughout there. The percentage of our total population identified, that's our percentage of special education. As you can see, it's rather steadily increased as well. But the final number is our percentage of itinerant students. And what itinerant means is that the students are included with their typical education at least 80% of the time or more. And as you can see, our commitment from 2020 on is that we have steadily increased almost 9% in the last 5 years. With our most common rates, I think it was almost 5% from last year to this year. And a lot of that accounts for our inclusion that we talked about with CKLA. We made really great efforts of looking at an inclusive curriculum where students can be included and have access to that core curriculum. So a lot of that big jump talked about looking at our new curriculum, which was a fantastic idea. Another component I wanted to talk about is, although the data for this current school year, the 24-25 school year, has not been released for the state average, last year's state average for itinerant percent of students was 61.7%. So we're 7% higher as far as inclusion for itinerant students than across the state as well.
12, right?
Last year.
Last year.
They haven't released the state average for this year's numbers. So I can't compare this year's state. It'll come out later this summer.
But we're proud of that number because that is, I think, evidence of Dr. Hsu and our staff's commitment to trying to move in the direction of least restrictive. We're very proud of that. We think we're doing a lot of good work in that area. Something that we're going to touch on this evening is to make sure people understand what supports mean, that it's a service and not a place. I think a lot of people think when students require autistic support that must mean they go to a place to get autistic support. And it's very important that people understand that autistic support is not a place. Yes, we do have classrooms that support students on the spectrum, absolutely. But we have many students that are getting autistic support. They're in regular ed classrooms that get things, SDIs such as visual schedules or sensory breaks that are built into their day because of their sensory profile that says that they need this release in order to stay regulated throughout the school day. So it's very important we understand we have all of these supports in our schools. Deaf and hard of hearing support. You know, we have some fabulous students. One in particular at the high school is doing some great work that's getting these kind of supports in our schools. She just had an article about herself in a magazine the other day. Our speech and language support programs. Dr. Shu is going to talk more about the work she's doing on an MTSS level to provide that kind of support to our students. And we have physical support, multiple disability support. You know, we have a number of students that are in wheelchairs that require a lot of creative scheduling, creative supports. And I'm very happy to say that I think that our parents, you know, with those students that we support are happy with a lot of the things that we do for their children. So again, remember, it's a support, not a place for these students. But we give all of these supports to kids on a regular school day, every day. One thing I wanted to point out here on this graphic here is that you can see, and you saw a little bit of these numbers before, but we're at 783 identified students, which right now makes up 17.3 of those students are autistic support, or on the autism spectrum, I should say. That's our disability category, and that makes up 135 students. So if you look, that's a category that Dr. Shu and I have, you know, been working aggressively with, and Dr. Shu is going to talk more about that, because as you can see, that the population is larger than what we've had in the past. So we are working to meet that need because that does bring with it some other professional development opportunities for our staff.
So what are we doing to continue to be our best? Where are we improving? Where we still need to grow? This year, we've started co-teaching at all levels. This is new, K to 3. We have had it 4, 5, 6, and up. But K to 3, we really talked about that inclusion model. Again, currently our kindergartens are half-day programs. We want our students to be with their typical peers as much as part of the day as they can. 2.5 hours goes by really quick. We want them to be part of that. So we do push-in models or co-teaching at all points that we can. We also offer pull-out supports at all levels because, again, the emphasis is that we're offering that continuum of spectrum, that continued spectrum of services and supports. We're also continuing to grow at our MTSS at all levels, K to 12, looking at different itinerants, looking at different resources, making sure that we have equitability in all our buildings. The growth in MTSS, we're really working on growing in other areas. This year, we piloted occupational therapy through the MTSS, pushing in to kindergarten support so students aren't pulled as much. Again, great, and all students benefit from that, just not those identified with an IEP. Next year, we're going to be looking at speech. This entire year, we work on professional development to grow our MTSS in the area of speech. Some of our data does show that one of our weaknesses is that we have a higher than the state average identified speech language population. Hopefully this is another component where students can be included more and pulled less for services and supports. We also have had an emphasis the last few years since Dr. Walsh was at our helm of the emphasis of UDL. This also came through with the adoption of CKLA. That's not just special ed, that's really including that into our core curriculums and including it with our regular ed teachers. Again, I've said it a couple times, curriculum materials that support access to grade level standards for all students. We adopted CKLA this last year, and we're currently looking at a new math curriculum for next year that hopefully identifies the same concepts. We're also continuing to work with community work-based collaborations, and Dr. Minch is going to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so one of the big things that we've been focusing on at the high school, especially Mr. Villani and I and the staff, Mr. Fauzi, I can't say enough about him, and Mr. Lorenzi and Ms. Hernandez have been working hard at some of our school work-based learning, but our community work-based learning programs. And why do we do that? Because we want our community members to see our students with more significant disabilities as very viable and active employees in their workplace. And so we're working hard to make those connections with people. We just made another connection with Flora Park down in the South Park that we're going to be working with this summer. So we've been freeing up staff, and Mr. Villani and I have worked to free up Mrs. Hernandez some more to work on that transition work that's very important for our students. Again, to achieve those post-high school outcomes of employment, civic responsibility, civic engagement, and a fulfilling life. Our emotional support services, I'm very proud of Darrell Wyndham at Independence Middle School, who's been doing great work at doing a heavy lift of improving emotional support services at the school. And it's different than when I was hired as an emotional support teacher here, where every single thing that I had, my schedule was English 9 to 12, social studies 9 to 12, science 9 to 12, English 9 to 12, right? And Mrs. Feiss over there is smiling because she knows, she understands. The thing right now with emotional support that is a real big emphasis for us is how we can support the students throughout the day and get them back into that regular ed environment where they're going to thrive. And so we provide that support. It's different than the way that I was first hired many years ago at Bethel Park High School. We've had a real increase in our BCBA supports because I know that someone's going to ask, what is BCBA? Board Certified Behavior Analyst, okay? So these are folks that come in, look at functions of behavior, and help prescribe positive behavior support plans or build those plans with us. So that has been on the rise for Dr. Shu and I. PBIS initiative, you already know about that, but why I bring this up is that, you know, our students, we pay attention to our students with disabilities. Are they being disciplined at a greater rate than our other students? You know, we've had some manifestation hearings this year, which is a normal part of due process for our students. But again, we take that very seriously because we have to make sure that we are being fair to our students with disabilities when it comes to discipline. But one of the best things we can do for them is be proactive, and that's what PBIS does. The addition, we were very thankful to the board and to Mr. Pictionary and Dr. Walsh for the additional school psych support. We did not get it this year because one of our school psychs was on maternity leave, but next year we're excited about how that's going to impact our staff in getting more timely evaluations and supports into place. As you all know, we've done a lot in terms of mental health and social emotional learning supports at all of our buildings. Why do we do that, and why do I mention it? Because even though those supports are for all students, we know that MTSS is for all kids, not just special education kids, for all kids. But we know that when we're doing these things well, we keep kids in not only the regular classroom, but maybe our school, maybe the regular school longer. Are we 100% successful every time? No, and that's why the law requires us to have the full continuum of support. I'd like to just highlight again mental health. You know, as the board has seen, we've brought to you numbers from our Teams room, our Recharge room, our MTSS supports. I mean, we're touching, you know, thousands of kids in a school year within these supports. We've talked a lot about skill groups at all levels. I can guarantee you that our skill groups are comprised of a healthy number of special education students. Again, why? Keep them engaged in our programs. As Mr. Modrak knows, we brought the SNAP program back again. There were also special education students that we had serviced in that program. Outreach Teen and Family has done wonderful work. Basically, I was talking to Mr. Fodzi the other day. They're basically our first recommendation for many of the drug and alcohol types of issues that come about for our students. And yes, they are sometimes special education students. Again, we've gone away from that alternative 45-day automatic to more restorative practice. Why did we do that? Keep kids into the least restrictive environment in the regular school. So again, very proud of the work that we're doing in that area.
So where are we going now? As we plan for the new elementary school, we're looking at equity at the BP Elementary School for co-teaching focus at all levels. Our current staffing plan has both a co-taught teacher and a pull-out teacher at every grade level. We're also looking at growing our emotional support program and having an emotional support classroom at the elementary level so we can offer that continuum supports. So as they transition from the elementary level, then they can transition to Darrell Wyndham at the middle school level. again, MTSS growth. And one of the great things about having our block schedule is that soon special education services can be offered within those intervention periods, so they, again, won't be pulled during that core instruction. We're going to continue to grow our MTSS and speech therapy. Also, we're looking at doing a district-wide autism training through the Patent Initiative. That, with our increased population, we're catering our specialized and professional development towards those populations, so our staff are better equipped to include the students within their programming. So they understand and make the students feel more welcoming, so they can feel more supported. Also, we'll have more accessibility at the Bethel Park Elementary School based by the shared programming. We're programming specifically for them. Also, our community-based initiatives. And finally, one thing that we're really excited about is looking into the fall, offering a special education parent advisory committee so that the parents can have a voice, not only in their students' IEP, but our overall programming, and we can get more feedback to what is working with your students, as well as that could help transition to other students. So Dr. Walsh has had a very good success with the parent advisory group with the superintendent, and we hope to carry that over to the special education department and then carry that into our future special education plan due in 2026. So we'll just get a jump start on that. So I leave you with our constant pursuit of our next best. Dr. Walsh today had a conversation with our admin at our admin retreat, and he shared information from Adam Grant's Hidden Potential, which is on the emphasis on the capacity for growth, not talent. So although we have a lot of talented educators, the one thing I can guarantee is that we will continue to grow as a department towards our next best for more inclusive practices and supports for our students. We aren't perfect, but we recognize that, and we will promise you we'll continue to grow.
Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Dave and Sarah. Appreciate that update. And just to put a period at the end of that sentence, all of those things you heard today are tied into our strategic plan in various places, both in the student experience and in the curriculum instruction bucket, and to even to an extent in the human resources bucket. So good update, and it's not without this point of significance that we're now ready to enter into the 5th and final year of our strategic plan. And so part of our intentions next year will be to take some time to reconnect with our strategic planning steering committee to figure out where are we going next, because we have, at the end of next year, a chance to launch the next new strategic plan. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Just
Thank you,
one
Dr. Walsh.
one question on the report. So with, all the activities, the level of inclusion, I think it's the, what was the term? The itinerant,
Itinerant.
percentage of students, in this inclusive environment. But then all the activities, when you look at it from results, long list of activities, but do you have a way of measuring results, whether it's quantitatively, qualitatively, but like quantitatively, MTSS scores, PSSA scores, attendance, discipline, whatever it is, but do you have a way of looking at the result side of it also?
Yeah, one thing that we, started with Dr. Walsh here was the MAP assessments, and so MAP can be broken down by students that have IEPs, not necessarily by disability category, but we use that metric to look at inclusion, like when students are in regular ed environments, when students are in pull-out environments, so we use that. And so yes, there is evidence that those things are working. There's also some things we need to work on, though, and I think that, Mr. Villani and I are going to be working this summer on some things. We'd like to see, some more of our keystone achievement go up in the area of the algebra, so we'll be working on that. I think that, from a mental health perspective, I can say that we're triaging a lot better, and you can tell that by the number of kids that are at a tier 3 level for mental health support services. Like, we're keeping that number down. It doesn't mean that we don't have red, in the red situations, because we do, but I think we've done a much better job of lowering that number. And so those are the kind of things we look at from my perspective. There's many more things, but Dr. Hsu, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
like any student, you look at your MAP scores, your PSSA scores, your standardized scores. You could look at PASA scores, which is an alternative curriculum that you're looking at. Again, when you look at the itinerant and the inclusion, the idea is access to the core curriculum. And the research states that the more access to the core curriculum, the better the test scores should be. Now, we're in 1 year, so hopefully that will continue to grow. Also, when you're looking at special ed numbers, how the state looks at our growth and our improvement is, are we doing things better than the state average? That's why I compared it to the state. So when we go through our cyclical monitoring and we go through our state plan, that's what they look like. We're compared to others in the state. But also in a realm of special education, it's very individualized for each student based on their own. So we can look at global scores, but it may not paint the best picture of the individualization that's going on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can I say one other thing that we missed? Progress monitoring at the elementary level in the MTSS framework. You know, a shout out to our curriculum department, Mrs. Wells and Mrs. Figlioli. You know, our teachers there are doing progress monitoring, and that data is showing growth in our students, and many of those students, again, are special education. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, maybe the next time you do this update, it'd be good to take a look at that also. I mean, it's good to look at activities, but I think as a board, we probably care more, does it matter? Okay? Do the activities matter? And so if you have a way of describing what those metrics of success are, and then, you know, share that, I think that'd be really interesting.
Sure, we'd be happy to.
Thank you so much for the report. I love all the great information, especially the CPAC, the Special Ed Parent Advisory Council. I've wanted our district to have one of those long before most of you were here. So thank you. I think that that is really good. And I would encourage any families who are listening to apply for that when they open that up and indicate your interest. It's super important that families and the district develop good working partnerships. And I would encourage families to really be open to considering that opportunity. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc. At this time, we have public comments on agenda items.
Hello, Jim Means, 3485 South Park Road. When Yogi Berra was inducted into the Hall of Fame, he stood up in front of the audience and said, "I'd like to thank everybody for making this day necessary." Well, tonight we're faced with another massive tax increase, roughly 1.25 mils, somewhere upward of $2.5 million. And this tax increase is indeed necessary. But the reason it's necessary is because this board is engaged in a practice which has encumbered the citizens of Bethel Park with $165 million in debt service over the past 4 years. The average family now is paying about $900 a year in taxes on their home in order to pay for this debt service. So while this tax increase is indeed necessary, I would like to thank all of you for making this night necessary. Thank you.
No one else? Okay, moving on. Mrs. Headley, would you mind taking the consent agenda, please?
Sure, thank you. So for consent agenda, I'd like to move items 1 through 11 for approval. Does anybody have any discussion prior?
Second.
Okay, we're moving items on the consent agenda 1 through 11. Moved by Mrs. Headley, second by Mr. Scalzo. No discussion. Mr. Piccionary.
Voting is open.
Thank you.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you, sir. Next up, Personnel Committee, Mr. McGregor.
Okay, tonight there are 8 items under personnel. Number 1, ratification of the Federation Secretaries of Bethel Park, the Bethel Park Federation of Teachers Local 1607. Number 2, the change of assignment. Number 3, appointment of personnel. Number 4, authorization to make employment offers. Number 5, an MOU with the Bethel Park Federation of Teachers. Number 6, approval of 25-26 salaries for non-Act 93 group members. Number 7, approval of 25-26 salaries, Act 93 of admin. And number 8, approval of extra duty responsibility program. I'd like to
Second.
move all 8 of those.
Second.
Mr. McGregor moved items 1 through 8, and seconded by Mr. Scalzo. Mr. Pictionary? I'm sorry, no discussion, any questions? All right, Mr. Pictionary.
All right, voting is open. Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you, sir. Finance Committee, Mrs. Walsh-Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Modrak. We have 4 items. I'm going to take number 1 and number 2 together, and then resolutions 3 and 4 separately. Payment for the new elementary school project to ECS Mid-Atlantic, and items declared unused and unnecessary from BCCS textbooks and world language textbooks. I move 1 and 2.
Second.
All right, we're moving items 1 and 2 at this time. Moved by Mrs. Walsh-Turner, second by Mrs. Headley. Mr. Pictionary, any questions or conversation, discussion? No, Mr. Pictionary.
Voting is open. Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you.
Number 3 on the agenda, the Board of School Directors approves the administration's recommendation to approve Resolution 2-2025 for the 25-26 general fund budget in the amount of $110,487,727 in expenditures and the same in revenue with no unutilized fund balance.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Item number 3, the 25-26 general fund budget, moved by Mrs. Walsh-Turner, second by Mr. Christensen. Any conversation or discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Pictionary.
Voting is open.
Maybe? There we go.
Did it come?
All right, there it is. Motion passes 9-0.
Thank
And
you.
number 4, the homestead and farmstead exclusion resolution. The Board of School Directors approves the administration's recommendation to approve Resolution 3-2025 as property tax reduction allocations funded by $262,141 gambling trust fund for the homestead credit on 99550 households in the amount of $297.70 on asset homestead valuation reduction of $10,894.37.
Second.
Item number 4, the homestead and farmstead exclusion, moved by Mrs. Walsh-Turner, second by Mr. Christensen. Any discussion? No, none being. Mr. Pictionary.
Voting is open.
Nothing further.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Policy Committee, Mrs. Hoppy.
Okay, tonight we have one revision to policy, let me get there. 105.1, the selection of instructional materials and resources. This is the 3rd and final reading. Are we voting on this evening, or this is just the reading? We are voting, so. Oh, just the reading, okay.
And no discussion? Okay. We have other, Mrs. Janusek. Would you mind taking the other, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Memorandum of Understanding between the Bethel Park Municipal Police and the Bethel Park School District pending final review by our solicitor. And the purpose of this MOU is to establish procedures to be followed when specific incidents occur on school property, at any school-sponsored activity, or on a conveyance as described within those provisions. I move that memorandum.
I MOU with the Bethel Park School District and Bethel Park Municipal Police Department, moved by Mrs. Janusik, second by Mrs. Hoppy. Any conversation, discussion? Doc, just give us a little briefing, just update
So
some people.
you approved this MOU on behalf of the district last meeting. We needed to obtain the approval and signatures from the municipality. We have done so, so now you're approving the total memorandum for understanding. So you've already approved the MOU, it's now the conglomerate.
Thank you.
Okay.
Voting is open.
Did mine record? Because I already had it. It already popped up.
Yeah, yours recorded.
And then it disappeared.
No, you were recorded too. Yeah. It's going a little slow. It's Mrs. Hoppy, Mrs. Janusik, and Mrs. Turner. Yeah, it's-
Give a-
might just be
Irish.
frozen. Yes. Okay, motion passes 9-0.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we have public comments on any subject that you would choose. You just limit it to 2 minutes. Please come up if you want to state your name. No? Okay, thank you. Board comments.
Just a reminder on July 26th, please support the Arts and Music Festival for the Fantastic Four here in Bethel Park. The event is free, so there'll be all kinds of different bands. The artists are sold out. There's over 70 artists coming, and it is from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the community center. So please support. The Bethel Park Community Foundation and the Bethel Park Education Foundation do great things for our students. The Historical Society and the library provide a lot of services for our students and staff, so please support.
And they're doing the parking arrangements?
Yes,
again?
the parking arrangements were done with the bus garage, and parking will be pickups at the high school, I believe.
There are 4 locations: high school, part of the park and ride, the community, and
Shim.
Shim.
And there will be our buses.
We
they
will
can
have
look
our
for
shuttles.
bus.
Yeah, that was our
Throughout the whole day.
part of our donation to them.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Just have a great summer, and thank you to all of our students and our staff and our families and our administrators and our teachers and everyone who is part of making our district the special place that it is. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy your summer.
Mr. Modrak, just
Yes,
one
Mrs.
more.
Hoppy.
Just a shout out to our custodians and maintenance crew. Having worked in a school, an elementary school, I know that the messes that need to be cleaned up on a daily basis during a 180-day school year. So thank you for all of you, all that you do to keep our schools in great operating condition and a clean, safe place for our kids to learn. So kudos to the grounds crew, the boots on the ground, so. That's all.
Thank you. Just a thank you to Mr. Verlani and all the high school staff, professional, non-professional. I think Thursday night went rather well. Graduation was pretty nice. So thank you very much. The flyover, I thought the timing was off. We'll work on it. But no, I think it went well. Congratulations to our all 313? 313, I think. It was very nice. Got to see some old faces and got to see the kids wish, some very talented kids, and we wish them the best. But again, thank you for the staff and everything from administration down to your building, because it went rather well. And the weather held off. Cosma did it right. So, you remember that? Okay. So, Motion to adjourn? All in favor? Aye. Good night, everybody. Thank you. Have a good summer.